The real story of Thanksgiving. The triumph of free enterprise over communism. The word Thanksgiving comes from the original New England colonists. It was part of their custom and religious practice to offer thanksgiving to God for his most recent outpouring of blessings on their behalf. Specifically, in the case of the early American settlers, it was to give thanks to God for bringing them across the treacherous Atlantic Ocean safely. Pilgrims, Puritans, and explorers alike all came to the New World in search of the three primary goals of all mankind. First of all, mankind longs for freedom, both personally and nationally. Second, mankind longs for peace and the means of escaping from the anguish of war. Third, mankind longs for prosperity, both personally and nationally. Thanksgiving is a celebration commemorating the fulfillment of these three desires by the early settlers. But it didn't come easy. Only after following a failure formula resulting in the loss of thousands of lives from starvation and disease did they learn the better way. Thanksgiving reminds us of how the settlers discovered God's law, the inspired success formula that serves as a model for the establishment of freedom and liberty for all mankind. The first English settlements to survive the harsh American wilderness were Jamestown and Plymouth. The first was a business venture, while the latter was an attempt to establish a Christian utopia. Both systems practiced communism early on by compelling the people to share all things in common and were promised equal rewards regardless of their personal labor or effort. Under this failed system, both colonies suffered miserably and were nearly exterminated. Shortly after settling Plymouth, the Pilgrims were fortunate to have enough of a harvest to celebrate a Thanksgiving service. They invited local Indians, who showed up with 90 braves and donated 5 deer freshly killed. While this feast is often commemorated at Thanksgiving pageants and gatherings all across America, it is not the true reason we celebrate the holiday. After the Pilgrim Thanksgiving festivity, the happy memory of it quickly faded as the workers returned to the dull routine of their communal struggle. Each year became more arduous as the settlers tried to survive in a self-defeating routine of bare subsistence rations. The production level under this system was so low that ultimately the colonists faced complete extinction by starvation. Both Jamestown and Plymouth eventually abandoned the tenets of communism in favor of free enterprise. Land was assigned to families according to their size, and they were told to either work the land or starve. While this seemed harsher than the previous practice of sharing all things in common, it yielded incredible results. After just 1 year, the governor of Plymouth reported the settlement had very good success, for it made all hands very industrious. In the wilderness of the early American New World, both the Jamestown settlers and the Plymouth Pilgrims progressed from the false dreams of communism to the sound reality of free enterprise. The experience of these communities became a miniature laboratory in which the later lessons of the entire American economy were mirrored. They helped start a civilization which would not only provide peace and prosperity for themselves, but would become a model for the rest of mankind. Their prosperity came when they returned to the key principles of hard work, frugality, thrift, and compassion, just as God intended. These valuable experiences in America's early history, those mistakes that needlessly cost so many thousands of lives, are the sacred lessons behind the real story of Thanksgiving. For many years, Thanksgiving was a state holiday celebrated by the various territories in the adolescent American nation. Many of these celebrations commemorated the settling of their particular area of the New England coast. The Thanksgiving festivities typically lasted 3 days, and because it was an event for the religiously devout, the celebration could not extend into the Sabbath day. Therefore, Thanksgiving always started on Thursday. The first national Thanksgiving Day in modern America came from George Washington on November 26, 1789. Quote, "As a day of public thanksgiving and prayer to be observed by acknowledging with grateful hearts the many favors of Almighty God." End quote. Later, it was also proclaimed by John Adams and James Madison, among others. It wasn't until 1863, as the Civil War raged, that President Abraham Lincoln set the National Day of Celebration to be held each year on the last Thursday of November. His attempt was to restore unity and peace to the nation by recognizing their common liberty. Decades later, in 1941, President Franklin D. Roosevelt pushed the official date of Thanksgiving to the fourth Thursday of November in an effort to boost economic activity by extending the Christmas shopping season.